I want to talk about some of the issues that we typically have that I'm seeing that are being consistent issues in many companies in the CSA. I'm just seeing things in the Facebook feed and some things like that. And the good news is these are issues that a lot of guys have, but these are also issues that are controllable. And so I want to make sure that we're doing what we can do to control that. So I'm going to share my screen, because the first thing that I'm hearing over and over, even from some of our longtime CSA members, I still don't know my numbers. I still don't know my numbers. So what I want to do today is I want to absolutely simplify knowing your numbers down to just one thing. I just want you to take one action. If you're not doing this on every single job you are completing, my challenge is for you to do this, because this is how you get to know your numbers. It's kind of like you learn how to run better by running, right? You learn how to do jujitsu by going to jujitsu and doing the crap that they do. So I'm not going to ask you to have to do a lot of crazy things with your numbers and spreadsheets and budgets and things like that. The one thing that I'm going to share with you here on my screen is simply the job costing spreadsheet. All right, I will put this in the files section of the Facebook group so that you guys can have this. If you are not consistently job costing every project that comes into your business, you're going to have a really, really hard time knowing your numbers. And so I made this as simple as I can. I'm going to go over it here with you guys and show you how I would use this if I were you. I would simply do this. This is broken up into two sides, the left side and the right side. The left side is all about your estimated times and cost of what you think you're going to do with the job. The right side is the actual. Enter in the green. So we got the Reber job, and the foreman is Stanza. I'm going to come down here. Okay, actually, yeah, Dan's on the job. Boom, I got to make Dan a foreman. There you go, Dan. So I don't care what the job is here, guys. I don't care how you come up with your man hours and all that. That's on you. I'm just trying to make this knowing your numbers simple. If is the way you're doing things making sense? Is it working? All right. We know it's working if what we think is going to happen on the left side of the screen, that's what we think is going to happen. Does it actually happen on the right side when we watch the game film? Okay. This is also super important to do every week, because at least once a week with every job, everyone type the word every, E-V-E-R-Y, in the chat box, every job, no exceptions. And if you have a job that's going on for a long time, there's still no reason you couldn't do this and update this on each job, all right, at least one time a week, so that you know where you are in pretty much real time. It does us no good to get to the end of the year and then have to wait for our accountant to tell us if we made money or not, which we all know is a bullshit joke anyway, all right? You know if you're making money or not. Like if it says that you have a profit on paper, but you ain't got no money in the bank, you have a problem with knowing your numbers, okay? So here's the deal. I come right down here and I go, let's just say it's how many guys I got here? I got 3 guys on there. So we're going to do 3, 4, it's a 120-hour job. I think it's going to take 3 guys a week out in the field of doing work. I'm simply going to come over here and I'm going to go, Dan's going to run the job, Scott's going to work on the job, and Mark's going to work on the job. And Dan makes 25 an hour, and Scott makes 17, and this guy makes 14. What you see down below is this is overtime. So it automatically calculated time and a half here. Okay, guys, I'm telling you, I made this so simple. Then you see burden. With burden, I did 35% of your pay rate. It's not going to be perfect in your business. The only way you're going to get that perfect 0.35 number or whatever is talk to your bookkeeper, all right? But this 35 is going to get you really close. Give me a yes if you're with me so far, because I don't want to lose anybody. This is what it means to know your numbers, guys. This is not like a one-time event where you wake up one day and go, poof, I know my numbers. It's this ongoing little bit of training each and every week. All right, so Dan, who I pay 25, really costs $33.75, and so on. So let's say the job was planned. We're not going to do this for real, but let's say the job was planned to be a 6-day job, and we were going to work on a Saturday 8 hours. I would put 8 hours down here. And now my labor costs are a 144-hour job. And I've taken into consideration the actual cost with time and a half. Because now watch, we got 39.31 here. If I don't predict this properly, 39.31, I've got this priced at $300 less for my labor costs, which is not accurate, which is why we want to make sure that you are planning for overtime and things like that. All right, so that's how I use the overtime thing here. Give me a yes if you're with me so far. I'm going to ask you guys yes to give me feedback here as I go, because I don't want to lose you on this thing. Obviously, this call is being recorded and you can go back and watch it, but please, I want to make sure that we can get through this. This is what knowing your numbers means, okay? Let me see some yeses. So then I come down to the materials and other section. Now, by the way, before I got out of labor, if this is going to be, you got to make sure you're accounting for your drive time and stuff. So you got an hour with 3 guys in the truck and things like that. You're going to want to make sure that you put that in the estimated hours too, okay? There's a lot of guys that are leaving a lot of money on the table. Your profit isn't where it needs to be because you're getting burned on stuff like that, all right? Or you can even put it here. Let's just say you're like, hey, drive time, you know, 1 at $500 for the week or whatever. I don't care. As long as you account for it, just account for it. So you can do this estimated materials one of 2 ways. So I'll do a painting one. Okay, I can go ceiling paint, I can go trim, I can go walls, and I could go supplies. I could itemize crap out and go, I'm going to buy 12 gallons of this and it's 35 a gallon. I'm going to buy 4 gallons of this at 55, and we're going to buy 17 gallons of this at, you know, $50, and then I'm going to buy supplies and plastic and tape and all that crap, and that's going to be about $125 on this job. I could do it that way, or, because again, I don't know how you guys are originally doing your figuring of costs, or I can just say all materials, 1 at, you know, $1,650, okay? I can do that. Then I come down here, maybe you got to get a permit. Maybe you got to rent a lift, all right? Maybe the permit is, you know, it's a $125 permit. Maybe you're going to rent the lift and the cost for the week is going to be $1,250. Whatever it is, however you want to do it, guys, just document this stuff. This is what it means to know your numbers. You're knowing your numbers, not just on the back end of the job, but you're knowing your numbers going into the job. You are planning for profit. If you don't plan for profit, you are absolutely hosed, okay? Because now you're just leaving it up to fate and, you know, the gods of the universe and things like that, that everything's hopefully going to work out. All right, so we'll just go with what we have here. We'll get rid of this lift. All right, and the permit, we'll just go, okay, everything's $1,650. So now labor's costing me this, materials are costing me this. So what's that? Roughly $4,700. I'm going to scroll up. You're going to see over here this red number, because I don't have a sales price in here. Your gross profit is negative. This is basically, this is what it's costing you to do the job, okay? It is costing you just under $4,700 with labor and material to do the job. That's why this is red. That's why this isn't filled out, because I don't have a sales number in here yet. So check this out. Most guys are going to go out and they're going to sell their work before they get into our world and they start doing 50%. They're going to do like a 1.5 multiplier, which gives them a 33% gross profit. Okay, that means they would sell this job that's costing them $4,700. They'd sell it for $7 grand. Estimated man hours, materials. This is what you sold the job at. You're projected to make $2,300. If everything goes right, you hit your 33%. So you can, I always say, go a 2 multiplier. Boom. A multiplier of 2 will price you at a 50% gross profit. This is knowing your numbers. I'm knowing my numbers going into the job. Now, listen, you can even, you know, those of you that are bracketing and things like that over the telephone, you could even have this. As you know, you look at some pictures, you call somebody back, and you could have a couple scenarios. You can sit here and pre-job cost this thing for somebody and go, hey, listen, this could be from 93 to 10 grand and on the high end. And if we did some of the other stuff, it might come down a little, however you could do it. But you can use this just by plugging in how many days that you've estimated it for it to take and all that other stuff. All right. So I'm not going to paint by the numbers here with you, but I'm just trying to show you how simple it is to know your numbers going into the job. This is the plan that you have going into the project. If you don't have not just a work plan in the field, but a numbers plan where you're planning for profit, you're going to have a really hard time consistently hitting your money goals. All right, so now let's pretend I sell the job at this amount. I sell the thing at $93.50 or $9,500 or whatever. This is just don't go less than this amount if you want to be priced at a 50% gross profit. If I go 1.9, I'm at a 47%. If I go to 1, I make nothing, okay? So that's the math. So now, when the job is done, okay, you simply, now here's what I would do. This is knowing your numbers. I would have a conversation with my team. I would say, hey, here's how the job was bid. This is the hours budget. This is the material budget and all the other stuff that might be in there. Have that conversation with your foreman. Now, when the job is completed, you're basically going to go, how did we do? Well, Dan actually worked 43 hours. And Scott, he was late or whatever it was, and he worked 37 because he missed 3 hours or he had to leave early one day. Mark was at 45 man hours, and we didn't have any overtime or anything like that. So look at this right here. The job is already 120. We're at 5 man hours over budget. Let's say that we nail it perfectly at $1,650 in materials. Here's how the job shakes out. I sold it at 23 or 93.48. It took us this, so I'm 5 hours over budget. I'm 0 difference in material. Okay, I sold the job at 74.78 per an hour when I sold it at 77, but I produced it at 74. So my efficiency was lower than my estimate for whatever reason. My actual gross profit is $126.90 less than I planned on, which is real money. It's 1.5% lower than the 50% gross profit that you planned on. Okay, now let's just watch this. Here's the other thing. Maybe you're really efficient in the field with the materials. Maybe you could have used some rock that was still on the job site, or you had stuff left over. You didn't spend what you thought you were going to spend, and you spent $300 less. All right. Now it swings the other way. You still lost man hours on the job, but you made $173 overall more than you planned on the left side here because you did better with the materials. So a lot of times, guys, now here, if we nail this exactly, it was 40 hours a guy, and we save in the materials, now we make another $300 in addition to what we planned on making on this particular job. All right. Or maybe you have that job that takes you a whole nother day for 3 guys. All right. And let's just say you only saved $50 or so on what you plan on the materials. Now you're negative 6%, $555 lower than what you planned. Guys, this stuff adds up. You'll see this upsell amount. All right. If I worked on the job and upsold, installing something, fixing something, whatever it was, in the amount of $350, simply put the amount there, make sure you got all the hours and your costs right and all that other stuff, hit enter, and now you'll see that it changes the gross profit on the job, okay? So on a job where I hit it exactly, I do everything exactly the way I planned on doing, but I sell $350, I make another that $350 goes right to my gross profit because I nailed it on my bid and everything else. Guys, this combination of pre-planning the job and you're having your profit plan in place and saying, this is how we're going to reverse engineer this thing, and actually sitting down for 10, 15 minutes a week with each project and going through this. And then you simply just ask the question, like, Why did we finish on time? And it's not always because the estimator was good. Sometimes the crew knocked it out of the park, okay? Or maybe you lost a bunch of hours on the job and you spent more hours. Just simply having that conversation with your team. Hey, if we were to do this job over again, what would we do differently? Guys, this combination stuff is what truly it means to know your numbers. And then these other things will come into play. But the easiest way to know your numbers, get out of the financial gutter, start making some headway in your bank account, is to raise your gross profit. What if you were 2% higher on every single job that you planned on doing? Okay. Well, for every 100 grand of work, that'd be another $2,000 in your pocket because you were efficient and you knew your numbers. The other cool thing here is when you're comparing this, you could be like, man, we planned on 120 hours and it took 200 hours. What do we need to change in our estimating or our pricing or whatever? Does this make sense? Do you have any questions on the issue of knowing your numbers in regards to what I've talked to today?